Hello everyone, Todd here, and today we're going to take a look at whether you should purchase the 16 mm Sigma lens. I'm not going to do an unboxing, so let's get right to it. The Sigma 16 mm is a prime lens with an aperture rating of f1.4. Now this isn't a detailed expert camera review, so all I'm going to tell you is that 16 mm is a good choice when you want to get a wide shot in a relatively narrow area, as I have here. F1.4 or aperture refers to the amount of light that can get into the camera. They call it the iris, but really just think of it as how big the opening is for light to get into the camera. And 1.4 really allows you to get some great performance in low light as well as achieve a shallow depth of field. And of course you can probably see the little bit of blur in the background behind me, and that's being accomplished without having 20 or 30 feet. That's a minimum distance is about 10 feet behind me. And so that really shows you just how you can get that shallow depth of field when you go with this sort of setup. Now, Sigma makes lenses for all the common manufacturers' lens mount systems. Chances are there's something that's going to fit your interchangeable camera, but I will leave a link in the notes below so you can check out your options on the Sigma website. Now, I'll be recording this video with the 16mm Sigma lens attached to my Canon M200 camera, and just so you know, I'm about 18 inches away from the lens. So I'm working in a relatively tight space the way I have this particular camera mounted. So I wanted to include this desk shot so you could see the M200 with the Sigma 16mm lens right over my shoulder and really see just how close it is when I'm using my regular widescreen shot. And that's one of the great things about the Sigma 16mm lens, that it lets you have a really wide view with a great shallow depth of field, and yet you don't have to be a long distance away from the camera. So really a great option for those of you that have limited space. Just so you know, this desk shot is actually happening on a Hero 7 Black, and this is the camera I used to use for my regular widescreen shot before I decided to upgrade to the M200 and then ultimately add the Sigma lens to get better low light performance. But I'll have upcoming videos talking about how to use the GoPro as a webcam as well as using the M200 as a webcam, whether or not you have an HDMI capture card. There's some great tools now that you can just bring the video in via USB, so look for those in the upcoming weeks. Now, one of the things I wanted to do in this video was to show you the difference between the Sigma lens and the kit lens that comes with the M200. Now, when you're looking at the background around me, I'd like you to pay careful attention to the darker areas, particularly the black areas or the shadows, because that's where the performance of the Sigma lens really comes in. The video here is shot with the kit lens that comes with the Canon M200, and this lens has a maximum aperture of 3.5. Pay attention to the dark areas and shadows and look for the graininess that you can see with this versus the Sigma. Now, that's not to say the kit lens is all bad, because it has some great advantages. It is a zoom lens that allows you to focus between 15mm and 45mm, so it gives you a variety of shots in the one lens. And if you're able to shoot in a room with a lot more light, or you're shooting outside, the aperture may not be an issue as long as you're not looking for that shallow depth of field to give you the blur in a really small area. So those are considerations with it. The other thing is the kit lens, of course, comes with the camera. This is an M200 again, but the same will be the case for a lot of other cameras, and so it's not an extra cost. Whereas the Sigma lens typically retails for between $500 and $600. So it is an investment for a non-pro filmmaker, but as you can see, it does allow you to accomplish some shots in low light areas that otherwise you would struggle to create. Another advantage of the Sigma lens for those of us that aren't pro photographers is it does have the autofocus capability. And so while this will vary from camera to camera, and here we're on an M200, I just want to show you that the camera is able to really keep track of the focus. It's not hunting for focus at all on me as I move around. And that's something, again, that's really important if you're vlogging or you just don't want to have to worry about whether you're in focus or not. Maybe you're not using a confidence monitor. So having that great autofocus can be a real advantage, again, for those of us that are particularly non-pro photographers or videographers. If you're enjoying this video or finding it helpful, I'd like you to consider subscribing or smashing the like button. It really helps the channel out, and it also gives me an idea of the kinds of content you're looking for me to create. Should you purchase the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens? Well, there's a lot of considerations. It's ultimately up to you. But one thing for sure is that the lens does provide the ability to create certain shots that are challenging otherwise when you're using a lens that doesn't have the same ability to take light in. And so you need to consider that. And if that's important to you, you may want to purchase the lens. Thanks everybody for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and look for future videos with more reviews of tech gear that can be helpful for your live streams, recordings, teaching, and meetings. Take care and bye for now.